All right, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order, please. Will you call roll?
Browning?
Here.
Campbell?
Here.
Guerrero?
Here.
Hilbert?
Here.
Leeper? Yes. Stahl?
Here.
Wood?
Here.
Okay. At this time, I need a motion to open the hearing on the 2022-2023 school district budget.
So moved.
Motion made by Josh Hilbert, is there a second?
Second.
Martha Leeper, call roll, please.
Campbell?
Yes.
Guerrero?
Yes.
Hilbert?
Yes.
Leeper? Yes. Stahl?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Browning? Yes.
Okay, I presented the tentative 22-23 budget during the August board meeting. And it has been on display for the allotted 30 days, and there's no one here, I see, to have questions about it. So when we get to that part of new business, I would recommend that we approve the 22-23 district budget. But that'll be done in new business later on.
Okay,
Unless anybody has questions about now.
any questions?
I will touch on it a little bit later when we talk about the pre-K grant that we received. The revenue's not in this current budget, I'll add it, and we'll do the amended budget in the spring. But the expenditures were in there already, so it's kind of nice to have that, but we can talk about that later.
Okay, so I need a motion to close the hearing on the 22-23 school district budget.
So moved.
Motion made by Matt Wood, is there a second?
Second.
Lori Campbell, call roll, please.
Guerrero?
Yes.
Hilbert?
Yep.
Leeper? Yes. Stahl?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Browning? Yes. Campbell? Yes.
At this time, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made by Jeff Stahl, is there a second?
Second.
Jessica Browning, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
6:02. And everybody gets their name in the minutes for that little hearing. Everybody.
And then we need to make sure, before we leave tonight, we sign the cover page of the budget.
Start on around if you'd like.
Okay,
Sign on the EA side if you voted this side.
all right. So let's go ahead and start our regularly scheduled meeting. Can you call roll, please?
Browning?
Here.
Campbell?
Here.
Guerrero?
Here.
Hilbert?
Here.
Leeper? Here. Stahl?
Here.
Wood?
Here.
And Mr. Downing, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. It appears we have no visitors this evening. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. Can I get a motion then to enter closed session for the reasons stated on the agenda?
So moved.
Motion made by Jeff Stahl, seconded by Josh Hilbert.
Yes.
Call roll, please.
Browning?
Here.
Campbell?
Yes.
Guerrero?
Yes.
Hilbert?
Yes.
Leeper? Yes. Stahl?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
All right, can you, I need a motion to accept the closed session minutes as read in closed session.
So moved.
Motion made by Martha Leeper, is there a second?
Second.
Lori Campbell, call roll, please.
Hilbert?
Yes.
Leeper? Yes. Stahl?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Browning? Yes. Campbell?
Yes.
Guerrero?
Yes. I need a motion to accept the resignation of Kevin Puckett as an at-will custodian effective August 18th, 2022.
So moved.
Motion made by Josh Hilbert, I'll second it. Call roll, please.
Stahl?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Browning? Yes. Campbell?
Yes.
Guerrero?
Yes.
Hilbert?
Yes.
Leeper? Yes.
Motion to accept the resignation of Trina Lawler as an at-will benefited bus driver effective August 28th, 2022.
So moved.
Motion made by Jessica Browning, is there a second?
One second.
Jeff Stahl, call roll, please.
Wood?
Yes.
Browning?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Guerrero?
Yes.
Hilbert?
Yes.
Leeper? Yes. Stahl?
Yes.
Motion to accept the resignation of Kara Burkhart as the middle school boys track coach effective September 15th, 2022.
So moved.
Motion made by Josh Hilbert, seconded by Matt Wood. Call roll, please.
Browning,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Hilbert,
Yes.
Leeper, yes, Stahl,
Yes.
Wood.
Yes.
Motion to employ Lou Beeson as an at-will custodian effective September 12th, 2022.
So moved.
Motion made by Martha Leeper. Is there a second?
Second.
Jeff Stahl. Call roll, please.
Campbell,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Hilbert,
Yes.
Leeper, yes, Stahl,
Yes.
Wood,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Motion to employ Riley Mendenhall as an at-will custodian effective September 26th, 2022.
So moved.
Motion made by Jessica Browning. Is there a second?
Second.
Matt Wood. Call roll, please.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Hilbert,
Yeah.
Leeper, yes, Stahl,
Yes.
Wood,
Yes.
Browning,
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Motion to employ Michaela Good as middle school student council co-sponsor for the 2022-2023 school year.
Motion.
Motion made by Josh Hilbert. Is there a second?
Second.
Lori Campbell. Call roll, please.
Hilbert,
Yes.
Leeper, yes, Stahl,
Yes.
Wood,
Yes.
Browning,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Guerrero.
Yes. Motion to employ Erica Slayback as middle school student council co-sponsor for the 2022-2023 school year.
So moved.
Motion made by Lori Campbell. Is there a second?
Second.
Matt Wood. Call roll, please.
Stahl,
Yes.
Wood,
Yes.
Browning,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Hilbert,
Yes.
Leeper. Yes.
Motion
She
to
put her answers on too.
Motion to employ Sarah Wheeler as the middle school head speech coach for the 2022-2023 school year.
So moved.
Motion made by Martha Leeper. I'll second. Call roll, please.
Wood,
Yes.
Browning,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Hilbert, Leeper, yes, Stahl.
Yes.
Motion to employ Daniel Stevens as the middle school assistant boys basketball coach for the 2022-2023 school year.
So moved.
Motion made by Lori Campbell. Is there a second?
Second.
Matt Wood. Call roll, please.
Browning,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Hilbert,
Yes.
Leeper, yes, Stahl,
Yes.
Wood.
And then, onto the consent agenda, you all should have received in your information. Does anyone have any questions that you haven't already spoken with Mr. Meadows about? Okay, so I need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion made by Jessica Browning. Is there a second?
Second.
Lori Campbell. Call roll, please.
Campbell,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Hilbert,
Yes.
Leeper, yes, Stahl,
Yes.
Wood,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
On to superintendent. Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Superintendent's
I
report.
have 3 items. Updated enrollment numbers, I provided that document for you. They were pretty close to what I had projected back at the end of school in May. We're down a couple of kids, down to 573 total enrollment. It has fluctuated a little bit since the start of school. We've had some kids come and some go, and kind of how it is. So I just wanted to provide that to you, give you kind of an update. There are reports that we have to do that are after September 6th. We have to send enrollment numbers in to the county. So this was the information that we sent to them. Next. After years of trying and trying, we never gave up. Ms. Wellbon never gave up. Kept submitting the pre-K grant. Finally come back to Sangamon Valley, after, well, this would have been, I think, year 9 without it. So, glad to have it back. It's $235,000 roughly. Again, that's to cover the expenses of the pre-K program. All of those expenditures were in the budget that I presented, and so we'll have an additional $230,000 of revenue in the ed fund. So that's nice.
letter, like,
That big check.
like the giant check from.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it'll stay, and we'll continue to receive it now.
I think too, I would like to mention that between you and Mr. Fowler being able to crunch budget numbers, we did go a few years without, but then we were able to add a group, back in, and now a second one just on our own, and that's something to be commended, because a lot of schools can't do that, so.
Yeah, a lot of them didn't have to.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to figure why we lost it and everybody else around us, some even had 2 programs around us, so.
That was my complaint when I met, one of our things that we met this year, obviously by video chat, but I said, I don't understand, I understand equity and I understand, there was a process, a grant process, and I understand cutting budgets, but when you cut something completely, yet other schools have 2 that remain unfilled, I don't understand that, so hopefully, maybe they'll be looking at the way they do that as well, or that's allegedly what they said.
It is a kind of pay-as-you-go type. I submit expenditure reports and quarterly expenditure reports, so the money will not come to us all at once. It'll be spread out over the course of the entire fiscal year, and then I'll submit a final in June.
Now, are we back to having to do anything different because we are under that grant? We already provide transportation, which is required, I know. Do we have to require food now, or, what is it?
There's lots of things that we have to
Pick up?
not necessarily change, but like the documentation, one thing I was gonna talk about in the building update, we had to change our curriculum. It had to be research-based in a certain one, so we've changed to creative curriculum. And Jane and Kylie both spent last week 2 days, full days, doing training on it. It's pretty intense, the assessments, everything is within it, but it looks really good, and they've already started this past Monday, so, yeah, so that was definitely, but it's an 85-page document of compliance stuff that I'm thumbing through, but a lot of things we're doing, so.
Yeah, I assumed it came up with all the hoops from before, I just didn't know if anything new had been added.
We went ahead and purchased the curriculum back when we were pretty certain. Before we got the allotment, we went ahead and decided to get the curriculum and get that going, so. We were ready.
Good.
They were ready.
Yes, they're very excited about it.
Then the last thing that I have is the school maintenance grant. I would like to, when we get to, new business, I'll ask for your blessing to apply for that again, and, my goal this year is to finish up the high school, which might run a little bit over $100,000. I'm gonna have a guy come out next week and, try to give me a rough estimate of what he feels like would need to be done. I go from there, but again, it is a matching $50,000 grant. ISB kicks in 50, we have to pay at least 50, so I'm hoping that it stays somewhere, under 110,000. And then the goal would be to continue on and start on the south side of the.
And we're talking tuck pointing?
Tuck pointing.
Okay.
Tuck pointing, and then they come back and put sealer on the building. And then I would like to get over to the middle school in the summer of '24. Start on the south side of it, it's pretty rough.
Makes sense. Okay.
That's all I have.
What's the more expensive part, the tuck pointing, or like when they have to do the beams and stuff?
The beams, are very labor intensive, and sometimes they don't know what they're getting into until.
I was trying to think of the south side of it. Yeah, that was kind of, so it had these windows.
Yeah. I would imagine they'll run into some of the problems we had on the north side of the gym, where the whole beam and lintel will be pretty much rusted out, just by the looks of the brick and the way it's expanding over the windows. So it will be, it'll be expensive, but the good thing about, I believe this was done at some point, I'm not sure when, but the lintels are in much better shape over on this side, so I think everything else that they have left will be more of just do the tuck point,
Okay.
grinding a certain percentage out, the work part of it, and then sealing it.
we ready to move on to the curriculum director's report?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. You have the floor.
Who wants to start? How about we start the littles to bigs?
That's great.
We've had an awesome start already, just amazing group of kids and parents and staff. I could not be happier with, the way in which we began the 22-23 school year, a little bit more of normalcy, around the building, parents in, and tomorrow night we've got the family reading night, and we're expected to have around 300 people in the building. That's what we're estimating, so, we're super pumped about that, and, like I said, just that normalcy, getting that kids back to, the team building days and the field trips. We're finally doing field trips again, and the kids are excited, and the teachers are excited about that. I met with my kindergarten teachers, and they wanted me to share some numbers with you. So 2021, we did not have the pre-K program before that, okay? So the average number of letters by students were 19 known. This past year was 31. So 19 last year without the additional pre-K program. This year we're at 31. Then the letter sounds, we had 7 of them, or they knew 7. Average 7, this year 9. So we have seen a huge increase bringing in more of those kiddos into our programs. And it's night and day of what the kindergarten teachers are saying. They can come in and teach. They're not teaching them routines and how to line up and where to put their book bags, and they already have that because majority of our kiddos are in our programs. So they asked for me to share that with you guys, but yeah, we're getting back to some normalcy, and we're really excited about the school year. So
I could say the same thing for the intermediate building. Like, we're super excited. There's just a new aura in the building, and to be fully staffed and not have long-term subs is absolutely amazing. Our new 4th grade teacher will start officially on Monday. She was in the building tonight when I left, just kind of revamping, getting her room started, and ready to go. We have several new students in the building, so our enrollment numbers compared to last year are up about 5 students, but our new students are very high need students we're noticing. So we have a couple that haven't been in school. We have a couple that don't have special education plans, but are most likely in the tier 3 process. So it's been a struggle with some new students coming in, but luckily we are able to provide the services that they need at this point. I looked at our Fast Bridge data from last fall to this fall, and I wasn't surprised. I mean, it wasn't what I wanted to see, but we're noticing we are seeing scores dipping now. I'm anxious to see at the end of the year what that looks like, because the structure of our curriculum is strong and in place, and our teachers are strong. So I think we're gonna see a difference in that. Behavior-wise, it's amazing. Like, I counted up the other day, just because we had like 6 subs in our building one day, and you wouldn't have known. You could have walked in and would never have known. And we got compliments from so many of our subs, so we did like a building-wide, like a behavior reward for the students. It's just, the building is just fun to be in. So far this year, we've only had 4 bus referrals and 4 classroom referrals. The 4 bus referrals are on the same bus. So, I talked to Mr. Downey, we'll probably have to ride a bus pretty soon. And there is the teachers are talking about getting on the buses too at the end of the day to try to help them get off, because they are more crowded this year. The 2 staff that we lost after the school year started put a little hiccup in our start, but I think we're ready to go now. And then the big thing for us is the standards-based grading. So 3rd grade, we made it happen last year. The standards-based report card was in place in Teacheries, and we initiated that. The teachers created the rubric to go along with the power standards, and then the assessments are put in place so that all the teachers are on the same page and the students are receiving the same assessments, not dependent on what classroom they're in. I was worried about 4th grade because the whole new 4th grade team is all brand new, but they came in very strong. They have a strong backing in it, and the 4th grade power standards are in Teacheries and up and ready. They've created the assessments already, and now they're working on the rubrics. So for coming in so late, they've made fast gains. And then for fifth grade, which will be rolled out for next year, we've already got the power standards identified, so.
Any struggles with parents accepting the new changes?
Nope.
For the middle school, I would have to say too, I mean, I wasn't here last year, obviously, but, I've just been thoroughly impressed just how well everything has been going with the beginning of the school year. I mean, the last several years in education, we've had to deal with COVID, and kind of having that normalcy in a bit has been so refreshing, and it kind of reminds you of why you are in education, you know, because it's like you're not wearing a mask or being locked down. So it's just really cool to see the kids. When I met with the team before school started, they really were wanting to have morning announcements and, you know, in the gym, starting the kids off in the gym. I guess the middle school did that years ago. And I kind of was a little hesitant about it, but just because I know it kind of gets a little crazy in the morning with buses and kids getting in and you get pulled there. But I will have to say it's probably one of the best decisions I think that the school did. And as a principal's never done it before, I absolutely love it. And I've just seen a difference and just a tone that it sets for the kids as they come in. And the other thing that impresses me so much about being at the middle school with the staff is that I've not heard anybody complain about certain teachers or certain kids or parents in a way that you kind of see in a divided staff. They're just so united. And the thing that I like the best is when I talk to the kids about certain things, or we'll talk about celebrations, or maybe if there's a discipline issue or concern, like all the teachers are hearing what I'm saying, and then it's awesome to see them carry that on in the classroom, you know, reiterate a lot of those things. And the biggest difference was during our lunchtime, we have a big 8th grade class, and the 7th graders were in there, and I was just like, oh yeah, the kids just go in there. Well, that first lunch, I was like, oh, Jesus, no. I mean, it was like, middle school kids, you can only imagine, and little old me just getting buried all over the place, and I was like, oh God. And so, you know, but I jumped on board, got the team. I just kind of was very blunt with the staff and said, this is not gonna work. We're not gonna have a day like this. And just to see, I didn't ask anybody to do anything. I mean, they gave up their lunches and kind of came in, and we all talked about ideas and different things about what to do and to make it look better. And I mean, it was amazing, because I think it was like 2 days ago, we had like 5 staff out sick, and 2 of the people actually were ones that are designated to come and help me in the cafeteria. So I was in there by myself with over 100 kids, and you couldn't even tell. They didn't even know I was in there by myself. I mean, they walked in, sat down where they're supposed to sit, they went up, did what they're supposed to do to get their food, and then they went to their tables, and I just kind of was walking around. I didn't give them their free time, but they didn't know that. Just like, oh, we didn't have time. But it was like they did not even know, and the cafeteria ladies were like, oh my God, they were so quiet, and they were so good, and I was like, see, they could do this. But it's just neat to see the staff, and really, I mean, middle school, you just need expectations and consistency, and it was just so nice to see that, and the kids were so respectful, and you walk past the classrooms, and the teachers are teaching, and the kids are active in the teaching. I mean, they're a little wild in the hallways, we try to get them calmed down, but it's not like anything crazy or anything, and we had our first major referral today, and it really wasn't even that bad. But to see the discipline, and one of the things that we did was, a lot of the teachers were kind of confused about how minor and major referrals were done. So we worked on that, and kind of talked about it and discussed, you know, what does it look like, the conversations that you have, and role playing and doing those different things, and just consistently talking about that kind of stuff, because I feel like if we don't get those things honed in on, then how can you really teach these lessons? I mean, we have kids that are, you know, walking in late, you know, we have a little of the teeny bopper attitude, trying to get rid of that. But just having that consistency has been so refreshing and so nice to see, and that the teachers are hungry for it. But really, these kids are like hungry for consistency and boundaries. So it's been nice to see that. We revamped a lot of our teams. We had a lot of teams at the middle school, so I condensed them all into 4 teams. And one of the cool things is that we were able to create which we talked to the staff today, so each month, each grade level will have a day during their win time, that they will meet together as a grade level team and talk about topics, within their PLC, which obviously most of it is data, what of our kids are being successful and kids that are not being successful. And looking at those, and then we appointed a leader for each grade level, and then we created our STORM team, which will be our RTI team, and basically taking those kids and discussing about how to help these students improve with their academics and their behaviors. And we'll meet once a month, and those kids are being the ones, because we have our 3 RTI intense times during our elective times. Those are the kids that will be placed in there, and then during our win time, they'll be placed in there based on if they're tier 2 or tier 3. So once we've got all our data, we'll divide all of that to best serve those students. But once again, it's all about being consistent and formatting these structures within the school, and the teachers are like on fire for it and are excited about it. So I'm just excited to see as we're moving forward, and our 3 new staff people that came on board. Our science teacher, she has created so much in her classroom. The kids are on fire, they're doing things. She created these STEM activities, and then she came to me and she's writing a grant right now to implement an ag class within our science department for middle school, because that's important, basically like an intro to ag, because that will therefore, and she's gonna get in touch here with the high school ag teacher and getting ideas, because if we plant that seed at an early age, then when they come over here, she'll get some of those kids, that already know what it's about, that'll intrigue them. So that's exciting to get that started. And with our social worker, she has just jumped on board. She's got a great schedule that she works with the intermediate and the middle school. And one of the things that we found out is our 504 plans are all over the place, and getting consistent dates in there. We've had 2 trainings with our staff on how to implement 504 plans within the classroom. Our next step in our next meeting is that we're gonna talk about scenarios and how to appropriately, when you talk about differentiating instruction, what does that look like, or accommodations, and how that appeals, because everybody's different in how they think about that. So talking about that and revamping all of that. So she's been great about being that resource, having some very tough conversations with parents and some families, having her and I both are having those with those families, and they've all come out very positive. So that's been really good. Our librarian assistant, gave her a goal of what we want in the library. I mean, that woman, I know she's a graduate of our, and she has been on fire. She basically moved shelves by herself. She's cleaned every shelf. She painted these panels in like a day, because I told her at a meeting there, and she cleaned up the window. I mean, she's cleaned the back room up, thrown so much stuff. We have so much that she's created all these signs, reorganized all the books. I mean, it looks like a library. And it doesn't look like something that was back in 1970. And I mean, we do need new things, but the way that she's created just the stuff that we've had around, and we stole tables from over here and got things, where we could do. And now we're having our study hall kids go in there and get books to read. They're so, they haven't been able to use the library for 2 years because of COVID, and it was used as a study hall last year. So it's just neat to see the excitement of reading with our young kids coming in there. So, but I'm just excited as we're moving forward. As we go in there, we have 150 kids. We have 6 kids that transferred in here, 3 7th graders and 3 8th graders. But just a healthy group of kids. So.
Sounds like a lot of accomplishments in, so far, the 3 of you that have spoken in 30 days, so that's nice to hear. I like schedules. All right.
Well, at the high school, we're off and running. So far it's been, I don't wanna say too much, how about that? But it's been really good. We've really been able to, again, with kind of getting rid of this COVID hangover and stuff, we've been able to get back to the business of, we sat in a leadership meeting today, and we were actually talking about our school improvement plan and setting targets and looking at data for those kind of things. For the last 2 years, our school improvement plan has basically been, how do we keep our head above water? How are we gonna pivot for this next thing that happens? When we were setting baselines with new assessments and things like that, and this year we're ready to rock and roll it, get back to setting targets and, seeing improvements. So we had a lot of rich discussion about that today, and so that's gonna carry on. Also looking about what we're gonna do with professional development this year. Kids have been great as well as the staff, and I really like the bunch of kids that we have. And staff and students both are really working right now. There's a pretty large contingency that are really pushing to, increase school pride and to get more kids out to the games and get more kids supporting each other. I know student council and football both have really been pushing some things, about really picking stuff up. And we've got some more, volunteering opportunities and stuff that are coming up. I'm actually going next week, with the student council, to do some volunteering over in Decatur and stuff, which I think is gonna be a tremendous thing. So that's been really good. We got word from the ROE. We saw a presenter, at the beginning of the school year, all the superintendents and principals there, a guy named Michael De Leon, who did some presentations in Macon County last year. He's a nationally recognized speaker. He speaks to students. He had a really hard life and got into some really bad stuff, but he talks about the dangers of vaping and addiction, drugs, drinking, things like that. And he was involved in gangs and other things, and he comes in after being in prison for however many years. And we had some really good feedback from, I know Jonathan had him over at Warrensburg and said he did a tremendous job. They're gonna get him over here next month to present an assembly with the high school, and I think then he's also going over to the middle school afterwards, so we're pretty excited about that. Get somebody in that the kids are gonna really respond to. So that's gonna be cool. We did our ALICE training today. I got certified over the summer with the ROE to be an active shooter trainer, so that we don't have to wait on anybody else to get our trainings done over here and get us prepared for anything that might happen. So I worked with the high school staff today. I've got plans to go work with the Illiopolis staff and also the Harristown staff later on in the next coming months to get that done. But that all went really well. We tried to have some fun with it, but also take it seriously and really discuss, the focus on this day and age with school safety and really safety anywhere. But the things that we're up against and just having a situational awareness, being prepared to respond in any way that we need to respond, and also being proactive, being able to notice those things before they get to that point and what we can do to improve upon that. So that was some really positive, great professional development, just recent in my mind from today, that we've got going on, but we're gonna be doing district-wide and kind of looking at those things, a little more steadily with, like I said, with times of being the way that they are. But so far, so good. We're just trying to get ready for homecoming right now and all that stuff going on, so I'm sure that's gonna present some challenges and also some successes for us to come back and share with you guys later, so really excited.
Sounds excellent. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
And I just mentioned, there's a newsletter at everybody's spot, and this will go out in the Sentinel next week, but it highlights all the new staff, district-wide, so you can see that and put faces and names and little bio about everybody. And then we just wanted to, on the back, point out some really positive things about the district that maybe people don't all know. So look for that in your newspaper.
Thank you, Martha, for your work on that. She always does a good job putting that together with the help of Mr. Meadows.
And IASD,
And IASD.
that's our membership dollars that work over there.
Great, we'll put some also, I think I generally take things around to the banks, to the post offices, grocery stores, whatever's open these days in these little towns, and leave some there as well, so some of our other stakeholders can grab them at will. But they will be sent to everybody in the Sentinel that has a student in SE. So, all right. Are we ready to move on?
We're ready for new business.
To new business?
I don't need to talk about the budget again, so.
I don't. So we can go ahead and make a motion to adopt the 2022-2023 district budget as presented. So moved. Motion made by Martha Leeper. Is there a second?
Second.
And Browning, call roll please.
Guerrero,
Yes?
Hilbert,
Yes.
Leeper, yes, Stahl,
Yes.
Wood,
Yes.
Browning,
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
And we're going to table the, district audit, we're going to take care of that in October.
And then we're revisiting board policy 7270, and I'm sorry, I meant to call you earlier, why is it that we couldn't get any of these? I never did ask you.
We're having a difficult time finding a physician that will write a script for us to have them. So, I'm going to have, Alex work on that, but we're just trying to get the school year started, and then we'll see what we can do as far as acquiring the undesignated EpiPens. There are EpiPens in our buildings, but they are prescribed to other students.
And it seems important to have them with the amount of allergies going on these days and students that don't know and all of a sudden something pops up, so.
Okay, so why is this, it sounds like the void policy would take care of the situation we're in, so
What I
why
thought.
are they wanting it all marked out now? This comes from them, from ISB?
I submitted everything and they came back and, one of the policies that we approved last time, might have been the one to get it in August. Kind of contradicted this, but then again, it says void policy.
Right,
you know.
and it says if you can't get a prescription, then,
Right. I didn't understand it either, but that's what they told me to do, so that's how I would like to present to them and then see what they say. If there's anything else wrong with it, I guess we'll try again in, October, but
Okay, so for the time being, I need a motion to adopt board policy 7270 as presented. Motion made by Jeff Stahl, is there a second? Matt Fuller, call roll please.
Hilbert,
Yes.
Leeper, yes, Stahl,
Yes.
Wood,
yes.
Browning, yes, Campbell,
Yes.
Guerrero.
Yes.
Next, school facilities policy.
So I asked Bob to put this on, I think it stems from the fact that I feel like I live with the school here anymore. And you're starting to see all the different groups and people that are using the facilities. And then as we're out and about, I'm getting talked to and approached about different groups, what they'd like to see, what they like, don't like, everything else. So I took a look at the current facilities use policy, and, I think it hits a lot of the stuff, where it needs to be, but there's some things that are lacking, and the big one is insurance expectations, and then cost, right? So we charge some organizations, but not others, and I think that's fine. I think as a board, we need to have that flexibility, but I think if we have a more robust policy on certain elements such as, key/fob control access, I think there's maybe options to improve there. The insurance obviously just laid out from the start, so there is no surprises to anybody that wants to come and rent. A more formal process gets more people involved so that everybody's on the same page. I'm not saying that they're not now, but I don't know that everyone is. And then obviously we can set expectations for how the facilities are used, as well as we understand the expectations of what the group is expecting from the facility. A prime example would be the football lights at Heliopolis this year, right? I think we all were under the estimate that they wouldn't be using, and then they turn them on, we've had an issue there. So I think we have some things that we can just lay out. So I did shoot a version, maybe a mocked up version that I pulled from a couple surrounding school districts, just all the good parts out of it. It is a lot, right? It's a lot more information than what we currently have. So I'm not saying that's where we need to go, but I wanted to keep minds open. So I guess I would like to see us revise this to be a little bit more robust, not necessarily for the full scope of.
I think that's good, and what I've done in return I have reached out to Mr. Meadows and asked him to contact Lee. Anything at work that I do, if it's insurance, like I've asked for a sample insurance certificate for a couple years now, that should just be handed out automatically. You have to meet this. It just says sample across it. These are your things. It can be PDF, whatever. But also, I believe he should be able to provide us a sample of a facilities use thing, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel, and what they expect because they're insuring us. Like when I do a workman's comp thing, or our drug policy at work, my insurance provider provides me with a complete policy, and I make it work for us as our size company, our, you know, our employees, that kind of thing. So hopefully Lee will come up with something like that for you. If not, Barney, you did ask, and I printed this off, and there's a local district close by that had some of the things you had some of our regular things, and I printed that off for you. But I was going to see if potentially, I don't know that we need to consume ourselves with 8 to 10 pages of stuff, but maybe, I think Jeff and, Matt are buildings and facilities. If one of you guys would be willing to work on a committee with Josh on this and maybe rehone it, get the information you need from Mr. Meadows as far as, I don't think we charge anybody right now other than if there's
JFL is, I think, 250 is,
for the field.
Yes.
And then if you're using
if you have.
services when our employees are not present, custodians, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So all that information you guys can get from him as far as, you know, those kind of things. But if one of you, I know you're about ready to head into a busy season, but if you guys can maybe hash that out, bring us a first reading, next meeting, second reading, whatever, and then we can go from there.
Where does this one come from that you sent?
That was from Argenta. Did you
Oh,
get
it
one
had our
from?
name on it though.
From
I
AO?
changed it.
You did.
I looked
Okay.
at theirs, yeah.
Okay, cause I'm like, do we already have a policy on this?
No,
Is
we
this
do
where
have,
we just start?
our
or-
policy is.
Right, but it's not in our board policy.
Yeah, I think our stops
We have a
very
one-page.
basic, yeah.
Yes. Which I probably printed here too.
I think at one
But-
time, this document was added as, and when we just did paper copy, it was, I think Mr. Fowler did it, put it in there. But it has never
Yeah,
been.
our policy is two paragraphs and a sentence in the board policy. I mean, whatever we come up with, it might as well be in addition to our board policy, and then it can be reviewed
Right.
appropriately on a regular basis.
And Mr. Fleming, who I would assume most of the time is dealing with people and yourself in the superintendent's position requesting, would have all that information at your fingertips, shoot it out in an email. And then we have to put on those other groups and boards that are using our facilities, they need to talk amongst themselves. If they have a changeover in their board and that kind of thing, they need to pass information along accordingly so that people aren't sitting out there twiddling in the wind,
Right.
Year to year, or however often they elect board members, but, anyhow, I don't know if you guys wanna talk amongst yourselves and just decide. I believe 2 of you can hammer it out, and, you know, we're gonna pass that down to Josh Murray. I just printed that from him. I don't even think
Four
you
is
can,
in quorum, can you not do 3?
I don't think you can do 3 unless, you can look that up for me if you want.
Okay.
In your Robert's rules, I believe it's 2, and the board president can sit in on any committee, but look it up and correct me if I'm mistaken. I just don't wanna do 3 without, and I knew you were getting ready to go into,
And
Matt can do it.
We could even meet it today if you guys wanted to, if you wanna come in the office. We could-
Just kind of a
I could
line.
probably, get Mr. Fleming in on it as well, I think he should be.
I think you got a lot of input.
So yeah, if you guys wanna try to do that here in the next week or so, but
And
we probably ought to
probably,
wanna get through, homecoming first and then,
We got
I don't know what your schedule right now to meet for meetings as well, if you wanna do something after work or whatever, or do something else.
okay.
Next up is the teacher retirement supplemental savings plan. I saw this come out in May, and what I read, it was a law, so I just assumed that we had to do it, and that was it, but apparently we have to adopt this. And again, like I mentioned in my report to you, I think what we have to decide is, are we going to match, if a teacher decides they wanna contribute to a supplemental savings plan. Now this is separate of just the regular TRS, which we do pay for our staff, for retirement. It is something different, in addition to, they can have additional money withdrawn. Well, we have to decide whether we want to make a matching contribution or not. My recommendation is that we do not, because where does it end then?
I was gonna say, that's my recommendation as well, or my opinion, I guess. You know, we do pay a full TRS, and many districts do not do that any longer. So, and it's quite a financial hit to do that, so that was just my thinking, my opinion.
So I have the motion written as, it's a motion similar to what they recommended we do, but then at the end of it, it says that there be no additional cost or no additional expense to the district. So I would recommend that we approve this savings plan because we have to. Again, I don't know, it's Illinois. So,
Do we, I mean, as a board, do we wanna go around the table, and does anyone want to vote to meet it? To match the input of any,
Can we do anything like 50% up to 3%, or, you know, a small amount rather than, is it only 100% is our only option?
Is it currently offered to them, or is this new?
this is new.
This is new, then that's why, okay.
So this is on top of the extra 401K that they can do and all that stuff.
They can
Teachers
do,
are already allowed to invest in the
403B.
403B, I'm sorry,
yeah,
on top of their TRS fund that we're already giving to.
Yeah, this is an additional, just to, they can have money taken out of their, I believe it's pre-taxed, if I read that correctly. But they can have money taken out and put into savings account.
Is there any limits on how much they can take out?
I did not see that listed anywhere. So that's one of the things that I was looking at. I didn't see that if there was a max dollar amount or a percent of their salary or whatever, I didn't see that.
I guess I'm just thinking if this is something new, you know, again, my opinion is not to do it, we just, did our current four-year contract, and then
It's
if, you know.
fine, it's almost the negotiable.
Yes, I mean, I almost feel like it's, if the board in the future wants to do it, then it's something that we take into consideration at negotiation time.
That's not,
I
it's probably
know
the
it's
best
not-
approach.
Yeah,
I mean, it's basically part of their compensation package.
If we're giving a portion as well.
I would think it needs to be something that's negotiated throughout the contract.
There could be language to the dollar amount and how much the district will match, whether it's
Yeah.
a percentage or it's a dollar for dollar match.
I don't think it's, like I said, something we do now, we wait till next contract, and if that's something,
I think so.
we go, yeah, if it's brought up, or they go from there. Anybody else?
So Carol hasn't had to deal with this yet, with anybody.
No. I'm not even sure if the teachers are aware of it, to be honest with you.
That was another question, how much interest is there in actually doing it?
Yeah, I don't know.
When did this, I was looking up Open Meeting Act, sorry. Did you say when this all came down from the state?
I saw the first notification was back, in May that it was coming. I received this document, probably 2 weeks ago.
Like this here,
Oh, this,
It says 522.
I don't know the whole thing, but I
Says
would
what?
assume that there's
5.2.
a maximum that they can contribute.
yeah, they're pretty much all.
Like I said, when the initial notification came out, I read it as you didn't have a choice. And so it was a done deal. But then they came out with, we have to decide on the matching part of it.
Participants are allowed to contribute up to 100% of their salaries. Up to $1.
Don't think you wanna go there.
Yep.
Be hard to budget too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So then we need a motion to adopt the teacher retirement system of the state of Illinois supplement savings plan. by entering into an employer participation agreement between the teacher's retirement system of the state of Illinois and Sangamon Valley School District at no additional expense to the district. Sorry, guys. Do I have a motion? Is there a second?
Who was the motion?
Josh.
Okay. Second?
Leeper?
Yeah.
Call roll.
Is this a roll, since we're not spending money?
Oh, maybe not.
Yeah, probably be just a voice.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. All right, so then, to your maintenance grant, we need a motion to allow Mr. Meadows to apply for the FY '23 school maintenance grant for the amount of $50,000 for masonry work at the high school. So moved. Motion made by Browning. Is there a second? Matt Wood?
Stahl?
Yes.
I'll save you the words, thank you, I'll just keep going. Wood?
Yes.
Browning?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Ferrero?
Yes.
Hilbert?
Yes.
Leeper? Yes.
All right, next up, 2 bids from United Glass to do some work at the middle school. As I mentioned, we had several doors at the middle school that would not close on their own, and we get dinged on that with the ROE, and then they come back and say, you have to send me a letter and tell me what you've done to remedy the situation. So, out in front of that a little bit, I had United Glass replace hinges on 4 sets of doors, 8 doors total, and that amount was just a little bit over $2,700 to replace the hinges, and they're expensive, but they're full length, and they'll keep the doors from sagging, and they should be operational when they're closed. So he went through and evaluated the doors of which ones he thought he could fix with the new hinges, and then we did have one door that needs to be replaced. It is the egress door that's on the north side of the campus. It'd be the northeast egress doors that go out to the Circle Drive. And the frame was good, but the doors are shot, and so there's a proposal here for to replace those doors for $6,972.
So the other 8 doors are east, west, and then on the wings?
We did the east one that goes out to the parking lot. We did that last year. We put new hinges on it.
Okay.
And so the new hinge doors were the ones that go out to the far west wing. And then we replaced hinges on what would be the northwest doors that go out to the Circle Drive. And then we did the 2 gyms, 2 sets of doors on the gym that go to the locker rooms. They kind of take a lot of beating with kids going in and out of there for games and such. And then before we had air, the doors were always propped. And if you put a wedge under a door and then pull on it to keep it open, it creates an incredible amount of stress on the hinges. And so I've been going around and throwing away door stops.
And these are the same people that did the other entry doors out front of the middle school, right?
Yeah, they've done quite a bit of work for us since we did. I had a different company come in and do the doors. I don't know if you remember the egress doors in the cafeteria that we had to put in because of we got
Mistake.
deemed of the architectural mistake. But when they closed off or put those security doors in the intermediate building, we had to have another means of egress. So I think those doors alone at that time were over $7,000, close to $8,000, and I went back and looked at that today. So I decided that maybe I ought to look around. And the one thing about United Glass, it's a father and son operation. It's not a big operation, but they do good work. And if I call them, they'll come. They'll be out that day. If I got a door that needs adjusted, or they're good people to work with, and they've been very reasonable. So they did quite a few projects with NG, but so I'm asking you to go ahead and approve that bid.
Okay, so motion to approve the bid from United Glass for egress door replacement at the middle school for an amount of $6,972. Motion made by Jessica Browning, is there a second?
Second?
Martha Leeper? Call roll please.
Wood?
Yes.
Browning?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Yes.
Leeper.
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
The next item was kind of a my bad. When Angie came through and did all the window replacements at the middle school, they did all the windows the same. And their door, or the windows, they have two in each classroom that kind of fold out. They tilt out, and it's great for security, it's great for the classroom, but not so good for serving concessions out of it. I honestly didn't even know that they were doing those windows when they did the project. I don't know if they added that on at the end. I went back and looked, and I didn't see anywhere where they were marked, but I guess everything else, it's my responsibility to know what they're doing. I probably would have asked them to put a different style of window in, some sort of slider. So while United Glass was there looking at the doors, I had them go and look at this window and to give me an idea of what that would cost. I think it would be best if the district picked up, especially since it's our building, and yeah, JFL uses it, benefits off of that, but they probably don't have an additional $3,000 laying around to replace that window, but.
Are you gonna do the larger glass or no?
Is it a double? I can try to picture it. I mean, I've been up there.
It's a
before.
double window that's probably twice the
Yeah.
size of that.
It is hard to get.
Two side by side.
Yes.
Does the track ever do concessions? Cause that's,
They
where I'm going with
did,
this is because the location, you got the one side window here, you've also got that one little nook where the walk-in door is. Which one is better to?
they've always served out of that far
The
west.
JFL has, yeah.
Well, football or.
We had football there years ago.
I just didn't know if track does concessions, because then you're gonna have an issue with positioning the track.
I asked Dave Fleming about, the concessions for track, and, I don't think they've had a track meet there in the last few years, because we usually only schedule maybe one or two because of the cinder track. This year they did not schedule any home meets.
Yep.
Was that to replace both those windows?
Yeah, it's one
All the way-
big-
One big one all the way
big unit,
across,
yeah.
that'll slide.
So there's some
in.
facing south that,
Yeah.
that you're probably
There
talking
is.
about that they could serve out of as well, but.
I just didn't know if we have any other type of sponsored, like a track or anything, that they would actually have a position issue there.
I don't know if that was an issue. They did serve, but it's been a couple years ago. And he didn't report of having a problem with the meet going on or whatever, but it's a good question.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve the bid from United Glass for the replacement of the middle school concession stand window for the amount of $3,363.
Say that again.
$3,363.
It sounds like
30, it sounded like
30,000
30
on there.
I heard Dave, but.
Maybe you were gonna say 3,300.
It's $3,363.
Thank you.
It's still a lot.
And
So moved.
Motion made by Matt Wood, is there a second?
second,
Martha Leeper, call roll.
Browning.
Yes.
Campbell. Yes. Guerrero.
Yes.
Hilbert.
Yes.
Leeper. Yes. Stahl.
Yes.
Wood.
Yes.
All right. Anyone have anything else? So our next regular meeting is scheduled for October 19th at 6 p.m. I need a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Josh Hilbert, is there a second?
Second.
Jeff Stahl, all in favor?